we can get started, and I appreciate all those who got up early in North America and whatever to go. So, as you know, because I don't, it's not fair to the people who can't regularly come. So we'll do a.
Meanwhile, the last few weeks I can't come because
Yeah, I
too
know. I
late.
listen. Listen. Whenever you do something to people, I know that for the winter it's bad in Israel, but whatever. It's the idea of having a shear every day.
No,
So
you got to do what you got to do, and that's it. I know.
exactly. So, Baruch Hashem, I don't know if any of the other Israelis here today, but if you are, Bruchim Abayim, very nice. You can come early today. Okay, and then I'll leave, and then I'm going straight to shul. You see, I'm already dressed for shul, and I'm going to right afterwards. But anyway, so thank you. So we won't do our regular topic on the siddur, and I was thinking what to do. It's hard actually. It's a lot harder when you talk about anything. It's much harder. When you give a specific topic, it's much easier. So I thought. I'll start. So I'm going to talk about Hakol Minhag Hamedinah, following the custom of local place. And the reason I thought of it is because there there are no flights from Canada to Israel. Those who live in Canada know that. There are no direct flights. LL stopped flying a number of years ago for reasons nobody is happy about or really understands, but nothing to do with COVID, wars, or anything. They just stopped to fly and won't fly to Canada anymore. And Air Canada was flying until the war. And so they're flowing since, and so therefore it's a little complicated, not to mention expensive to fly from Canada to Israel. So you have to go via the States or Europe. So we went via Europe. So actually, the way it worked, I didn't have school last Thursday. I don't have on Friday, so we left Thursday night. But of course, you can't get to Israel for Shabbos. So we went to Rome for Shabbos. We flew to Rome. And it was very, very nice. We had a very, very beautiful Shabbos in Rome. It's the first time I was there. I'd been in Rome once in my life, like 12 years ago, for 2 days, but not over Shabbos. And so I figure, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. And you go to shul in Rome. How many people have been to the big shul in Rome? I have no idea. You can raise your hand if anybody has anybody been.
Nusach Roma is very interesting.
Yeah, that's why. Okay, so I wish I could have gotten an Italian sitter, and that's what I would do, but I can't. So I don't remember how to point out all the differences. I wish I have. Maybe I'll get a chance. I'll buy one. I was looking on the net, but I don't have from Italy. Like I was very much looking through the sitter in Italy, of course, in Rome, and it's Rome and in Hebrew and Italian, and of course, Rome is perhaps. I don't say the most authentic minhag, but it's really the oldest. There, Greece and Italy are the two countries which have had uninterrupted Jewish communities since before the destruction of the temple. Maybe even from after the first temple time, but for sure during the second temple time, there were
Well,
Jews living.
a lot of Nusach Roma is Minhag Yerushalayim is as
Correct.
opposed to Bavel.
That is correct. The Italy right. Basically, you had Bavel and Eretz Yisrael, and Bavel is stronger. I mean, basically the Babylon. I mean, we have Talmud Bavli is much more learned. I mean, for all kinds of reasons, but much more authoritative than Talmud Yerushalmi. But the Babylonian minhagim were more caught on more. But Italy does have a closer culture. I'm not an expert in this field. There are people who've written a lot about Italian minhagim, but Italy is not. It's neither Ashkenaz or Sfard. It developed their own minhagim, and because they were sort of separate, the first ghetto was in Italy, mind you. I mean, it's interesting. Obviously, Rome is the center of the Catholic Church, and that is good and bad for the Jews. Generally, Jews were protected by the. I know it sounds a little crazy, but generally, the church never advocated murder of the Jews. They advocated Jews are second class and are to be wanderers and to be suffer, but not to murder Jews. They were not in favor of program. The official church policy, maybe based on church teachings, other people did. And often the ghettos in many cities, if you travel through Europe, the ghettos are often right next, Jewish community was right next under the church, and the church, in a sense, kept a watchful eye on the Jewish people. And of course, they were limited. Jews were limited in what they could do, but it was a little bit safe, in a sense, to have like a big church or whatever, live in next to the official Christian authorities. But Jews lived in Rome uninterrupted for over 2,000 years. Lived in Italy uninterrupted. The first ghetto, as far as I know, in Jewish history was in 1544 in Venice, which That was the first, and soon afterwards, Jews in Rome also went into a ghetto. Of course, a ghetto. It's not like I don't know what word to use. Not like the Nazis. Yimach Shmam. It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't necessarily pleasant. It wasn't a ghetto when we think. Those of us from the 20th century think of the ghetto. It was. It was less. It was a better life. It means Jews had to live there. They could go in the day. They had to live in places at night. They were certain restrictions. But anyway. But the Jewish community in Rome developed its own minhagim. They were uninfluenced by, let's say, a lot of the streams of reform. And I mentioned this once before, I think a long time ago. It's fascinating. I didn't see this in Rome, but in Florence, the one time I was on that same trip when I was in Rome, we were in Florence over Shabbos. This is our Torah Motion Italy trip that we're running again this summer, by the way, if anyone would like to go with Dr. Mark Shapiro. So we were in Florence for Shabbos. You can see the where they used to play the organ. It's like an Orthodox. They don't use the word Orthodox, but it was a halakhic shul that all the religious people all davened in. But allowing an organ on Shabbos is not difficult from a halachic point of view. To have a non-Jew play an organ, which is only a rabbinic prohibition, and there's a general principle in Jewish law that you can have a non-Jew, a shvut to shvut b'makom mitzvah, it's called, when you have two rabbinic prohibitions. So if you ask a non-Jew to do a biblical prohibition, it's only a rabbinic prohibition. I'm not allowed to ask a non-Jew, but that's only rabbinically prohibited. So if I ask a Jew to light a fire, that's one rabbinic prohibition. If I ask I ask a non-Jew to light a fire on Shabbat. Lighting a fire is a biblical prohibition, but it's the non-Jew doing it for me. That's a rabbinic prohibition. But if I ask the non-Jew to do a rabbinic prohibition, like playing music, that's only if I played, it's only a rabbinic prohibition. So that's a double rabbinic prohibition. And if it's in the course of doing a mitzvah, so then it's allowed if it enhances a mitzvah. So that's why the Rama paskins in the Shulchan Aruch. This is like astounding that when the minhag used to be people get married on Friday. That was a very common minhag. People were very poor often, and they would the Shabbos meal and the wedding meal would serve as one. So they get married on Friday afternoon. And what band are you going to have at the wedding? So they would hire a non-Jewish band. It's Shabbos, and so what? It's b'makom mitzvah to be misameach, to bring joy to the chatan v'kala, and they have non-Jews playing music, so that's allowed. The Rama paskins out halacha l'maisa. I forget exactly what siman, shin yutet or what I forget. It's right there in the Ramah. So playing an organ when the Reform movement started, they said we're playing organ, and made a lot of sense. But of course, that's because when the Reform movement said it, so the traditionalist rabbis saw this as an attack on tradition, which perhaps it was. But in other words, the issue wasn't playing the organ; the issue was the change, and of course, it wasn't done. And they. It became the symbol, like the worst thing in the world, and then the most rabbis prohibited an organ even on a Tuesday at a wedding on a Tuesday, and we also can't play the organ because it may be on Shabbos. But in Italy, they didn't have the same way in the Sephardic world. They weren't influenced by any of these things. The whole reaction that halakha has to react to, which it does in a sense, to what's going on in the world around them, didn't really happen in Italy. So my understanding is until the 1960s, not so long ago. Most of us, I think, on this call were alive in the 1960s. They used to play the organ in Venice in Florence on Shabbat. Anyways, but I'll just mention a little bit Rome, and then I'll talk about Minhagim in general. So we were in Rome. So first of all, it's a beautiful shul, like most European shuls. America, we don't follow the halakas of shuls anymore. 100 years ago, they did. A shul is supposed to be the most beautiful building in the city, period. End of story. Shul is supposed to be the tallest building in this city. So very often that was not allowed because the Christians wouldn't allow. They do understand. Obviously, the tallest building in a city, it means it's the most important building in the city. That's the landmark of the city. So the church and the synagogue, and the Jewish people both wanted art should be the tallest in the city. And obviously, since we didn't have the power, so they obviously the shuls often couldn't be quite as tall, but they are quite tall in Europe, very, very tall, many of the shuls, and they're beautiful. And when the Hasidic movement started and they davened in Shtiblach, that was one of the things they didn't like. That was sort of against the normative halacha. To daven in a basement somewhere, that's not a can't daven in a basement. Okay, I'm not the whatever. Ask your local rabbi what to do. I don't want to, but the shul is supposed to be a shul, and it's supposed to be at least as nice as your house. That's what Rav Soloveitchik famously says that I try to observe. It's very. I don't know. We'll have winter this year. Last year we didn't really have winter, but when you have to wear your boots to shul, so a lot of people walk in the shul wearing their boots or their winter coat, and Rav Soloveitchik said this is not allowed at all. The shul has to be treated like your house. And you wouldn't walk into your house with your boots. You went into the front lobby of your house. You take off your boots. You put on your slippers. And you don't walk around and throw your coat on the dining room table. So lots of people walk into shul and they put their coat aside. So the Rebbe said that's inappropriate. It's a lack of kavod beta knesset. Anything you wouldn't do in your home, you cannot do in a shul. So you wouldn't trance around in dirty boots in shul. Don't do it at home. Don't do it in your shul. The problem is our shuls, many of them are not so nice. If you walk into big, beautiful shuls, you wouldn't do it because just walking to the shul, there's a certain, experience, a certain feeling that it evokes. When you walk in the shul that's not so nice, it doesn't evoke that same feeling. So, but anyway, so that is an important thing. The Beit Hamikdash is God's home. That's an even higher level. We have extra halacha, but the shul is our home. That's why the Rav Soloveitchik explains. That's why there's no Kabbalah Shabbos on Yontiv. There's no Kabbalah Shabbat Yontiv because it's Yontiv, but there's no Kabbalah Yontiv on Yontiv. Like the Kabbalah Yontiv, the Kabbalah Shabbos isn't so long. It's only 500 years old. But why did the custom never? It's also talking on custom. But why did the custom never develop to have Kabbalah Yontiv? So Rav Soloveitchik explains. Simply, the shul is our home, and we're welcoming the Shabbat queen. So we're welcoming a queen, a king, into our house. So we have to welcome them. We sing nice songs and dance and sing and beautiful. But when we go to somebody else's house, we don't welcome ourselves. They welcome us. So we go to the Beit HaMikdash, Yontif, there's a mitzvah to go Aliyah L'Regel. You go to Yerushalayim, the Beit HaMikdash. So we're going to God's house. So we can't welcome ourselves to God's house. So that's why Kabbalah Shabbos is only on Shabbos, not on Yontif. But a shul has to be, you have to treat it at least as well as your night, as your home, and you have to have whatever. It's a problem. People like this. You have I was once in a shul somewhere. The shul was run down, so the people here are very wealthy. Just the shul isn't very wealthy, but the balabatim in the shul are wealthy. So it shouldn't be like that. If the balabatim are wealthy, the shul should be wealthy too. But anyway, I'm not here to. But so you walk into the Rome shul. I would say it's awe-inspiring. It's 5 stories tall, at least, maybe taller. It's very, very high, very high, and 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 it's big. And I was blown away. There were and there were probably more, at least 300 people in shul on Friday night. I don't know exactly the breakdown between locals and tourists, but it is November. Like it's not exactly high tourist season. I mean, yes, there is a lot of English, but there are a lot of Italians there too. So that was very beautiful to see. It was a really packed shul, much more, but yet more, substantially more crowded on Friday night than on Shabbos. On Shabbos morning, I counted about 100 men. And the woman's hard to tell. They're upstairs and high in the balcony. But my wife said there were quite a number of women in shul also. That's Shabbos. So on Friday night, there must have been 175 men. I don't know, in shul. And it was maybe more. Anyways, shul was very crowded. They have a chazan, of course, is more formal. A chazan, and I don't know if it's an official choir, but the man at the front, it sounded like a choir, and I couldn't follow what they were saying, but necessarily the acoustics are not great. You can hear, but it's hard to make out the words. But it's really a beautiful, beautiful. But just a couple of things to point out what they did. So one of the things that I found really interesting is when they face the kahal when they lane. In other words, it's very interesting how their bima it's a very nice bima. By the way, the bima is like in quote unquote today what we would call in a conservative shul. In other words, we know one of the big fights with Reform and the Orthodox was the bima in the middle. That was a big deal. Like in Hungary, the bima had to be exactly in the middle of the shul. But Moshe says it doesn't have to be exactly in the middle. Like that was some people said mamash in the middle, really in the middle. But Moshe said no, just as long as there's like some space between where the chazan davens and where the read the Sefer Torah from. You can't have like a beam up front. What's it called? A platform, like a stage. Like, and you walk into a conservative shul, so the chazan and the rabbi, everybody sits up front on sort of a stage, and the chazan is there too, not like in the middle of the shul. And so that's what it is like in Rome. That everything's up front. The chief rabbi, the chazan, everybody sits up front. I guess that was their minhag. Like, and nobody says it's a conservative shul. I'm just saying, but it doesn't have like the chazan davening downstairs in the middle. He's davening up on top on the bima, and then where he does so he davens facing the Aron Kodesh, of course, and but then when they lane, they just like flip it. I guess they have a special contraption, on both sides. Put the wood up or whatever on one side, and when they lane facing the the congregation. Which, trust me, if anybody tried that in the Young Israel in New York, they'd get thrown out of shul, before the first Aliyah. But it actually makes a lot of sense because. We daven, we face Yerushalayim, we face the Aron Kodesh, whatever. That's the machloka what to do when the shul doesn't face Israel. They face Israel or the Aron. We're not going to get to that now. But when you laning is learning. Laning is not part of the davening, right? We've mentioned davening is Shmon Esrei, the Amida. That's real davening. But for sure, laning is not at all have nothing to do with davening. We daven, we lane on Shabbos morning because that's when people come to shul to daven. So it's an opportunity to teach Torah. That was a takana of Ezra and Moshe Rabbeinu. I said the most important rabbinic law ever made was to read the Torah every week. I said this many times for sure. Imagine what Jewish life would be without Kriyat HaTorah, without Parshat Shavua. Our whole life revolves around Parshat Shavua, and we all know. I know how poorly. As it is, I don't know Chumash so well, but how much worse it would be if there wasn't Parshat Hashavua. At least every year I hear the Torah, and the Rishon I know better because hear it 4 times a week. But anyway, so that's a rabbinic enactment of Talmud Torah. So when you're teaching Torah, you don't have your back. The Rebbe giving a shiur doesn't have his back to the audience, to the front. But obviously, we understand in our shul it's not done. But it actually, I don't know why. I should really ask, people. It really makes much more sense to face the kahal, which no Orthodox shul does in North America that I'm aware of. But that's what they do in Rome. The other thing they did, the other very interesting thing they did is Birchas Kohanim. I didn't know what's going on. So I'm here in Israel now, and they duchen every day. The question is why outside of Israel don't we duchen every day? That's not a simple answer to know. Our custom is the way the Ramah explains it, the Ramosha Yisrael, is because the Kohanim have to bless the people out of joy, out of simcha. And living in exile, there's not so much joy. I don't know. This reason may be nice on a theoretical level. It's not really true on a practical level. But when you live in Israel, there's greater simcha. You're in the presence of God. Simcha is in the presence of God. That's what it means. So in Galut, we don't have so much simcha, but on Yontiv, there's a special mitzvah to be happy. So we can duchen on Yontiv. This reason is not really accepted by a lot of people. A lot of people say we should be duchening, but as we all know, the practice is we do not, the Kohanim do not bless the people except for Yontif. And in Israel, of course, I don't know if they do it everywhere in Israel. I do think there are places where they don't, but I am Yerushalayim, and in most places, I think they do duchen every day. So I don't know what they do on Yontif in Rome. I imagine it's different, but I'm not 100% sure. They finish Modim, and sort of people are standing up. I don't know what's going on, and all of a sudden it's like yesterday was Thanksgiving, big football day, and happy Thanksgiving to all the Americans. Okay, today's what is it? Not Good Friday, no, Black Friday. Good Friday is the other religion from Rome, but today's Black Friday, and then we have, I don't know, something Monday and Giving Tuesday, have a whole halachas of all the holidays now. This is like the biggest holiday for Jews. It's a one holiday they can all celebrate, Thanksgiving. Anyway, so what happened is they everybody gets up. So it's like a football huddle. That's why I mentioned, like, giving all the football games they have. They're like a bunch of huddles, like all over the shul. They must have put like a Kohen in each group, and like people, like the Kohen put like his hands like on a bunch of people who are surrounding him. They didn't do Yivarechecha, Hashem, Hashem. Like they didn't do it word for word, but as the Kohanim like as the Chazan was saying, Yirach Hashem Yishmerecha, the Kohen had his hands on the people. And so I just it's very interesting. I don't know exactly what that is, and but I just found that a very fascinating minhag. They also did Hagba right at the beginning. They did Hagba twice, if I'm not mistaken. At the beginning, that's it's the Sephardic minhag. You do which makes a lot of sense. In other words, we lift up the Torah before we lane. Like this V'zot HaTorah, this is the Torah we're going to lane from. The Ashkenazim do after we finished. Like this is what we did. But it sort of makes more sense what we're going to do. But anyways, but it's very interesting. They have like two people do Hagba. That's pretty cool. How do you imagine two people do Hagba? So each person holds one of the sides of the Torah, and they have like I don't know what's called, like a stick between the Sefer Torah, like to hold it in place. In other words, so it's held pretty wide, and they just have to hold and walk around with it. And they do like a 360, and then they put down the Sefer Torah. Just very interesting. Aleinu doesn't end with V'nemar v'yashem lemelech al kol haaretz b'yamahu yeh Hashem echad shmo echad, which is a pasuk in Zechariah, if I'm not mistaken. Aleinu ends with Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem echad, which actually just now, it just hit me now as I'm talking. That's why thank you very much. Probably because they really got it out of Malchiyot. I'm thinking now, I wonder if that's why. In other words, as we've discussed, Aleinu, that we comes out of Malchiyot on Rosh Hashanah, and that God is the King of the world. And we do 3 psukim in Torah, 3 in Ketuvim, 3 in Nevi'im, and then we do 1 in Torah. So Aleinu is the introduction to Malchiyot. Aleinu comes from Malchiyot, and both. And the last pasuk of Malchiyot is Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, if you remember, in the Rosh Hashanah davening. And it's a whole question. It doesn't say the word Melech, right? You're supposed to have the word, like shofar, zichronot, like you have to mention the word Melech. But the Shema Yisrael is like, it's Kabbalat Ol Malchut Shemaim. That's what we call it. It's the acceptance of the kingdom, the yoke of God of heaven, of all Malchut, the kingdom of heaven. So it counts as Malchut. So I'm wondering, I don't know, I'm surmising that the reason they put Shema Yisrael, has anybody seen this? Anybody been to other places where they have this? So in other words, the Yalkei Nekaveh, and then the last thing is, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Okay, just interesting. There was no Yikum Purkan. I forget. I was on Shabbos, and there's no Eruv in Rome, so I couldn't carry, so I couldn't have like whatever. I couldn't take a siddur home. So I don't remember, but as all the minhagim, all the things they say Mizmor the Toad. I've seen that in other places on Friday night, and they whatever. It's always interesting to see. And what I always like to say is when you travel to different places, you see that the way we were, brought up is not the only way. Judy, however you were brought up, whether in the Hasidic tradition, Lithuanian, whatever it is. There are different practices, very beautiful practices of Judaism around the world. And, it's okay. It's a little different. What's amazing is how similar it is. That's the bottom line is walking the shul. It's 95% the same. And, it's the same Torah reading. It's the same Shema. I mean, the words of Shemona Esrei are a little bit different, and some of the some of the wording in davening is different. And I decided to do like I found one Art Scroll sitter in the shul, like Nusach Ashkenaz, Art Scroll, but I decided I'm not using it. I'm going to use the Italian sitter. So I davened my Shemona Esrei. It's a little bit different this Shabbos. Not the theme was basically the same, but the words, it was actually very interesting. And of course, I had to focus more because I couldn't just ramble it off, Baal Peh, so I had to look in the sitter to make sure I was saying the right thing. So that I thought was very beautiful, which I think is actually a part of a larger phenomena that a lot of us, the way I heard Rav Schachter explain based on the Rambam, that there is no such thing as a personal minhag. It's a funny thing, according to the Rambam. Others disagree. In other words, the most important thing in a minhag is the place of. It's a community that determines a minhag, not a family. Now, in America, this doesn't work. Throughout most of his people didn't travel till the invention of the locomotive, right? Why did they make? How did 2 million Jews get here between 1881 and 1924? It wasn't just pogroms in Europe. That was why they wanted to leave. But we had pogroms from 1776 to 1881 also. But you couldn't leave. How are you going to get to America? It'd take you a month and a half. They didn't have the steamship or whatever they call them, the railroads and all these things to go. Well, transportation, modern transportation allowed Jews to move. Jews used to live. They never moved anywhere. You can live your whole life in the one area, and it was very rare for an Ashkenazi to meet a Sephardi or a Sephardi to meet an Ashkenazi. What do you do? There was unless you were a merchant. There were Jews merchants who used to travel, but then they would leave for 2-3 years. But yeah, a typical Ashkenazi Jew never went as far as Jews. They surely didn't go on Torah motion trips in the summer. They didn't go on any vacation. They didn't go to Florida. They didn't go anywhere. They stayed in the shtetl, and that's where they lived their whole life. Sometimes life was good. Sometimes life wasn't as good. But you weren't exposed to different minhagim really. And then if you moved, you adopted the new minhagim. We discussed many times how the Rosh. I'll get to now, I guess, in Israel. That's another one. We've discussed a number of times the Rush from Germany, Rabbeinu Asher, in the end of the 13th century, comes to Spain. Is important the rabbi in Toledo, I believe, in 1303, and he's an Ashkenazic rabbi in a Sephardic community. Not like today. It's really like that's a really like wow, like but he's the Rush. And he was like he came to shul and he was like he flipped out like I never heard of this stuff like they're saying V'tein Talamata wrong. We spoke about that a few weeks ago. They should say V'tein Talamata not based on Babylonia. They should say based on the season where we are, based on the rainy that we need here, not based on the rain somewhere else. So, I'm now in Israel between Zayin Cheshvan and December 5th. So in Israel they start saying V'tein Talamatar already 2 weeks after Sukkot, but we don't start saying, those of us who are in Chutz La'aretz, which is most of us, don't start saying V'tein Talamatar until December 5th, for whatever reason that we discussed a few weeks ago. So what do you do when you come to America? What minhag do you keep? What are you supposed to do? Should you say V'tein Talamatar? And anybody want to, whatever you say, there's some opinion that's going to back you up. But anybody, what do you think one should do?
When?
Now, me, I'm in Israel right now, November 29th. So when I daven mincha in half an hour or whatever, should I say v'tein bracha, which is
No,
You
no.
follow the local custom.
You follow the local.
and then what happens when I come back to Toronto?
You
Then you
follow the
follow
locals.
Toronto.
So I don't think so. I think when I get back to Toronto, I'm going to say v'tein tal umater. There are different opinions about this. You have to listen about because once I start saying v'tein tal umater, I'm not going to go back, especially because I'm going to take the view of the Rush that if I live in Toronto, I should really say v'tein tal umater the whole year because it rains in Toronto 12 months a year. We need rain or snow 12 months a year. So the reason we don't do it is the Russians is very upset we don't do it. But okay, we follow the Babylonian needs for rain. But I think you can rely on it. Once we start, that's a question, but correct. If you're here, so it was interesting. All the Israeli seminaries and yeshivot, they come recruiting in November. So it's they come to chat also, and a number of the people come and they daven in the morning can chat up. And I guess I don't know, they come daven and then they'll speak a chat to the few students whom are interested in going to Israel. So often they'll give the Dvar Torah in the morning. Usually it's people within chat. So the last few people who came, they asked him, "What are you doing about V'tein Tal Umatar when you're in America? What do you do?" So all three of them, it happened 3 times, all three of them said they say V'tein Tal Umatar while they're in America. Okay, they're all living in Israel, but they're in America. They don't follow the local minhag. So one said that's I won't daven for the Yamud because if you daven for the Yamud, that's already a whole different story. Then you obviously have to do what the local practice is. But they all said, in Israel, I started saying Metain Telematar. One of them said, he asked Rav Nachum Rabinovich from Leidumim, it was Rav in Toronto many years ago, a big posek in the modern world, and that's what he told them he should do. But it was kind of interesting. That's what they all said you should do. And then so when I got here, I started saying Metain Telematar, and I'll probably continue because the most important thing about a minhag is not to create a machloket. That is
Well,
for sure.
also with Saint Salamata, according to many, that if there's a suffix, you say it in Shmei Tzila instead. Saying
So
for
some
Saint
people will
Salamata in
do that,
Shmei
correct.
Tzila.
I believe I heard that Rav Chaim Soloveitchik. I could be wrong. I have to look into this. But if my memory serves me correct, that Rav Chaim Soloveitchik would say B'tein Tol Matar 12 months a year in Shomei Tefillah.
In
Okay, he didn't
Shmei
want to
Tzila, right.
Yeah, because we really do need rain all year. So who am I? But if you would ask me, whatever, I would quote unquote paskin that if somebody said the Tain Talamatar by mistake in May in Toronto, he wouldn't. It doesn't have to repeat the Shemona Esrei. Normally, I know it's like it's a minor mistake, but it's considered a big deal. If you say the wrong one, you're supposed to repeat the whole Shemona Esrei. Like if you forget Yalav Yavo. So I don't know. I think there's what to rely on. Not to repeat the Shemon Esrei. It's one thing, l'katchila, what you should do initially, but if you made a mistake, that's a general rule in halacha. If you make a mistake, you can rely, b'di'eved, you can rely after the fact on positions we wouldn't normally rely on, but once it's done. I see somebody's writing that you don't imagine the religious traditions of your family. So basically what I'm saying is you do. Today, people don't because we move around. That's what I started saying. When people lived in Europe, and very rare they moved. So they went from Spain to Germany once in their life, and they never came back. So they absorbed the minhagim of the place they went to. That was sometimes like after the Meiri. I think it's the Meiri. After I wrote the book Magen Avot. Magen Avot, to protecting my father's minhagim, because they moved. The community in Provence moved. I don't remember the whole details, and they wanted to defend, I think, or people came in and had their new minhagim, and he was defending the old minhagim. Generally, the practice used to be, no, your personal minhagim didn't count. That's what I said. That apparently, according to the Rambam, there is no such thing as personal minhag. Every minhag is a communal minhag. Okay, if you don't follow the Rambam, still you're not allowed to create machloket, and you weren't allowed to follow your personal minhagim. And starting a new shul, I hate to say it, that's a really bad idea. I don't know. Today, I'm not telling anybody what to do. Sorry about that. That was Dr. Gesundheit, actually. But I'm not. But form your own shul. Again, I don't know. It's a hard thing today to know. But if you look in traditional sources, it was a big no-no to form your own shul. And because that broke the community. I said the most important thing in minhagim is not to create a machloket. So when you start your own shul, okay, if the community is too big and you live 10 miles away, okay, you start your own shul. But if you're starting a shul up the street, and there's got 4 Orthodox shuls within a 2-block radius, right? How many of you people, I'm telling me that, how many people here have at least 5 Orthodox shuls? Let's say 3 Orthodox shuls within a 10-minute walk of your house. Anybody else? And afraid, yeah, most people. So I don't know. That's maybe not allowed. Rav Moshe Feinstein. I'm not criticizing everybody. People do that. We're talking. I don't know the halachic system as I understand it. Rav Moshe Feinstein has many tshuvat. Again, remember we started. The Rome Shul is beautiful. It's awe-inspiring. You walk into it, it's awe-inspiring. It was built in 1904. The Nazis did not destroy it. Along the outside of the shul, there are all these beautiful pictures of the shul like every 10 years, and then after the war and people getting married, and when the bunch of Libyans came to Italy, and they sort of they were absorbed into the community, and there was a very, very nice beautiful pictures of all the. And there was unfortunate, and of course you have to go to shul, you have to give your passport number before you go to shul. You have to send in your passport to they have you, and when you come to the gate, there's a fence, and they ask you your name, and they have your name on a list. If your name's on a list, they don't let you into shul. There was a terrorist attack about 20 years ago in the Rome shul. I think one person was killed, unfortunately. I think the baby, and a bunch of people were injured. So you think that's ridiculous. You know what? I wish they had that in America. I feel a little safer when they check everybody who walks into shul. America, anybody can walk into shul. But But the shul is really a beautiful shul, and it's an awe-inspiring shul. If everybody starts their own shul, it's too expensive. You can't build shuls like that. But it's also a shul is a beit knesset. Knesset means to gather people. So listen, in Europe, you were not allowed to open up your own shul. We don't have communities like this. I get it. Isha yashar bein avyasa. It's America, and America's democracy. At least I hope. I hope we still have a democracy. But in the meantime, America's a democracy, and people do what they want. Nobody tells anybody what. And obviously, we're religiously impacted by. That's why there's no chief rabbi in the United States. They tried it once, Rav Yaakov Yosef. It was a disaster. We are brought up in a society. We don't go for this centralized authority and all this stuff that Jewish community is always ran by. So I get it. So maybe the halachas have to be applied in a different way. But traditionally, the halacha was you were not allowed to open up a shul. You needed permission. The kahal, the community, had to give you permission. Rav Yaakov Emden, when he had his big fight with Rav Yonatan Eifshitz in the northern Germany by the the border of Germany and what's up north there. I'm forgetting where. Not Denmark, maybe, yeah, maybe. But I don't know my geography well enough. But when Rav Yaakov Emden had his big fight with Rav Yonatan Eifshitz, they lived 2 blocks away from each other. And they davened in the same. Rav Yonatan Eifshitz was the Rav. Rav Yaakov Emden had applied for the job, but Rav Yonatan Eifshitz got the job. And then he includes him being 17. So he got permission. 10 men could daven in his. He didn't have to go to shul. Go to starting shul, and they only allowed 10 men to go. 11 men couldn't go to his shul. 10 men could go. So Rav Yaakov Emden can also daven with the minyan. They realized it wasn't a good idea for Rav Yaakov Emden and Rav Yonatan Eifshitz to be in the same shul. But you couldn't open up your own shul. Yeah, that big community shul, and the chief rabbi, when you're a chief rabbi of a city, you're rabbi of different areas. If it grew, but you built shuls, it was one shul, and that was it. You needed permission. Ramosha Feinstein, 20th century, has America. He lived in America for most of his life. So he has many tshuvot against opening up your own shul, and a lot of it is economics. It's not fair to the rabbi. If you have a rabbi of a shul and then 30 people leave the shul and they start a shtibel, right? How many shuls today have part-time rabbis? And how many shuls today have no chazanim? And okay, maybe people, they don't like chazanut anymore. Please God, tomorrow I'm going to Yeshurun synagogue. They have friends and they have a fantastic chazan. It's not often I get to hear a chazan, so please God, tomorrow I'll be able to take advantage and go hear a wonderful chazan at Yeshurun. But it's also even shuls that would want one. It's too expensive. They can't afford it. And many shuls can't afford a full-time rabbi. Why can't they afford a full-time rabbi? Because there are not enough members. So you say no. So you have more part-time rabbis. You have more shuls. I don't know, but you're not allowed really to start. That was Rav Moshe as I'm in Israel now as I mean I don't know what to make of these tshuvot, but listen, Rav Moshe wasn't a card-carrying member of the Mizrahi. Okay, he wasn't. That wasn't his world. But that's the greatness of Rav Moshe. He was above politics. But obviously his personal views. He wasn't a Zionist in the way when we think of a religious Zionist. That wasn't Rav Moshe. Okay, Beseder. But Rav Moshe has I think a relatively well-known tshuva. Somebody, I don't know how well-known it is, but somebody asked him, they have an Israeli flag in the shul. He doesn't want to daven there anymore. How can he daven in a shul with an Israeli flag, a bunch of kofrim and rishaim? And Rav Moshe accepts that premise. I wrote this many years ago when Israel was much less religious than it is today. Yeah, the Zionists wanted to destroy Torah. There's a little bit of truth to that. Absolutely, there is some truth to that. They have done tremendous things for Torah. There's great of Torah because of the Zionists, but I'm not getting into that discussion. But my point is, Rav Moshe says the flag is negative, like it's bad. The Israeli flag is very bad. But you can't start a new shul over an Israeli flag. That you cannot do. If they take down the mechitza, you can start a new shul. But just because they have an Israeli flag, yeah, they shouldn't have an Israeli flag, Rav Moshe says. Many shuls do. They think it's wonderful, Beseder. So, but that's not a reason to start a new shul. So the idea today, it's just, what can I tell you? Everybody does it, but it's not classical Judaism. Maybe it's better to have less fights. I don't know. But anyways, but we for sure in America don't have the beautiful shuls anymore. They don't build shuls like they used to build in Europe, and I think that's very unfortunate because I really do think the shuls are awe-inspiring. You walk in and you're right away get into a mood I mean, listen, if I daven there every week, these things rub off. Like, if you daven at the kotel every day, like it's not okay. That's human nature. Okay. Anyways, let's just what can I tell you? That's but I see so it's true. We want to you can keep the religious tradition of your family, but they really were subservient to the religious customs of the community. Today, that's no longer true for people because I said travel. So all of a sudden, you're in America, you got 65 different minhagim, people from every place in the world. We never had that before. Never, never. And so, in theory, I don't think anybody cares today, but in theory, you go to shul on Chol Hamoed in Israel, nobody wears tefillin. That's the minhag here. They don't allow it. In America, it's less and less, but according to the Shulchan Aruch, you're supposed to put on tefillin. The Ramah says you're supposed to put on tefillin on Shulchan Aruch. Most people today don't do that, and no. So, but you go to shul, so a third of the people, a quarter of the people put on tefillin, and three-quarters don't put on tefillin. So that was really against the halacha initially. That's lo tasu agudot. But you're not allowed to have factionalism. Today, nobody would consider that a prohibition. In other words, you're not allowed to have people doing different things in the shul. The shul is supposed to have a unified minhag. So in a Sephardic shul, you're not allowed to stand for the Aseret HaDibrot, right? The Rambam rules you're not allowed to stand for the Aseret HaDibrot. Ashkenazim, we don't follow that ruling of the Rambam. We do stand for the Aseret HaDibrot. Good. That in theory, in Sephardic shuls that don't, and you stand, that's prohibited. You cannot stand. There's a real minhag in the shul here not to stand. You can't stand. What do you mean it's your minhag? I told you when you go into broyers, they asked you to put on a talis. It's not my minhag. What do you mean it's not your minhag? Who cares? It's not your minhag. The shul minhag is everybody wears a talis. You have to wear a talis. So today, I told you when I was last in broyers, they weren't so strict about it anymore. It's different. We live in a different world. Broyer, I have so many people. There's so few people left in the broyers community from what once was. They're happy anybody comes to shul, I guess. And they get maybe 50, 60 men, 70 on Shabbos, where they used to have 500, So it's people aren't living in the heights anymore, I guess, from their community. But so it's how you translate all this today is not so simple. I guess my share I'm pointing out we shouldn't get so worked up about our family minhagim. It's more important. You have to sometimes give up your family, do your family minhagim at your house, but don't start your own shul in your house. When you get home, do whatever you want. But the community structure is more important. Somehow, how do we balance that today? I don't know 100%. Yes, somebody wanted to say something? No. Okay, but so that's what they're supposed to, because that's what the Mishnah says. I'll very quickly, just let me share very quickly without getting into all the details. But that's the
But like
Mishnah.
Calvin,
Yeah,
even people who put on the tefillin on Halamoy take it off for Halal.
right. That's the minhag to take it up for halal. But to have people in the shul with tefillin, without tefillin, that's terrible. I mean, it's not today. Nobody cares because it doesn't create machlokas. In America, we understand. So maybe it's okay if this one stands, this one sits. But in shuls where they have strict minhagim, listen, I've said another thing that I Rav Shachta told us. I think it's so beautiful and so sensitive. People don't think about it. You're not allowed to be frummer, quote unquote, than the rabbi of your shul. If your rabbi's not from enough, go to another shul. What I mean, if the rabbi sits, that's the Rav Shakti was like, if the rabbi sits for Kriyas Torah, you have no right to stand. That's yuhara. I'm more of there is a minhag from the Marama to stand for
He's
for
not
Kriyas
until
Torah.
about 1 or 2 for some reason. And
Like what?
Schwartz still late.
Hold on. Just right. Most people sit for Sibs Torah. I'm sure many people on all your shuls, they're probably the yeshiva guys, they stand for Kriyas Torah sometimes because that's a minhag. Rav Soloveitchik says it's a beautiful minhag. It converts Kriyas Torah. It's Talmud Torah. That's why you face the audience, whatever. Okay, Kriyas Torah is Talmud Torah, but Rav Soloveitchik is when you stand for Kriyas Torah, it's a reenactment of Mamad Har Sinai. That's why the Balkori has two people on each side. It's like Moshe, Aaron, and Hur, standing like by Amalek, different, but also like you have people on each side. You're reenacting Har Sinai when you stand. It's like a different level of Kriyas Torah. So that's the minhag to stand. It's not a halakha you have to stand. Most people don't stand. So, okay, guys, yeshiva, they want to stand. Beautiful. But if you go to shul and the rabbi's sitting, Rav Shach said, you can't stand. That's a chutzpah to the rabbi. That's it's not right. Unless if the rabbi's in the older or the rabbi tells you, I don't mind. Even there, I'm not sure because it doesn't look good to other people. I was in shul recently, and I saw somebody I know who became much more observant than I knew him when he was younger. I mean, he's not so old; he's in his early 20s, but I know, he became much more observant. He yeshiva in Israel, and I say he frummed out, whatever they say. And he was in shul. I was in shul, and he was standing, and the rabbi was sitting. So I know him pretty well. So I went over to him and I said, Rav Schechter has, and he's learning in YU. Rav Schechter has, taught us it's, and I just said to him, and he looked at me and he smiled and he continued standing. And the rabbi was sitting. Okay, what am I going to do? That's very nice. I thought it was not right, but okay, that's me. I'm crazy. You don't have to listen to me, but there is something. So what do you mean? It's my minhag. No, the shul minhagim. It's very important. That's we mentioned many times, right? Rabbeinu Tam, the great Rabbeinu Tam, Rashi's grandson, says, "What's minhag spelled backwards? Gehenim." Ganem. Minhag. Mem nun hey gimel gimel hey nun mem. Whatever. Ganem. That if you misapply minhagim, that's where you end up. It's and people care about minhagim more than Torah law. We all know that. The Torah law is imposed. We don't really want to do it. I have to do it. We don't get so. I mean, we don't. People get more worked up about because my family is my family. I get worked up. The Torah, no, the Torah. It's only God, But you don't feel no. I'm saying it, but I understand it. I really do understand it. People feel a closer connection. That's my family minhag, and people feel they want to keep their family. It's very beautiful to keep your family minhag, but not at the expense of machloket. So that's what I want to say. How do you balance that in today's world? I don't know. And I think in Israel it's even wilder. I mean, Rav Gorin, when tried to get what called a nusach achid, because there's so many different ways to do it. And now that we're in Israel, kibbutz galiyot, so we're coming together. We have to reunite, and everybody should do the same. And it didn't work. People want their own minhagim. Good. So that's all right. And maybe it is good that everybody starts their own shul. You have to draw a line somewhere. I don't know exactly where to draw the line, but the line should be drawn where there's no machloket. Yeah, Marty.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
when living at Boston Lawrence, when
Right.
you know, I'm old enough to remember when Shel Shemayim came in. I was almost in high school.
Okay.
So when I started going to Shel Shemayim, I, 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 I had a feeling it is not based on halacha. The truth can get too big. And because when it was not on Shabbos, it was so big and so impersonal. So I dreamed up my own rule. And I know it's not halakhic, but I believe that get to when a show gets so big that when a guest comes in on Shabbos and you don't recognize that he's a guest, then the show is gotten too big. But that's my
Yeah, I hear. Listen, today, listen. I think what we have today is we have a lot of shuls, 8 minyanim in the same shul for Shabbos. That didn't happen when I was growing up. Yeah, remember when the rabbis were opposed to the hashkama minions? It's like today rabbis realize when they need the hashkama minion because if they don't, they'll oppose it. They'll go start another shul, and it's different. But at least they're under one roof, right? I don't know. I don't know where exactly to draw the line, and maybe it is different today, and maybe good neighbors make good fences or whatever it's called. Good neighbors. Everybody should have they're comfortable. Yeah, I hear that. But there's something to be said for communal minhag that I think we've lost, I guess is what I'm saying. And it's nice when you travel a little bit and you see different minhagim. It's nice to see that communities maintain their minhagim. I guess now that's true. So people come from Romania, Rome, or wherever they come from, and they want to make their own minhagim in America. Okay, so that's why they start their own shows. That probably is a good idea. Probably is a good idea. When Rav Moshe was writing about his negative, he was talking about, you have a big shul, everybody's talking, that the guy doesn't like it, he didn't get shishi one week, all the reasons people start shuls, they're usually silly reasons. So Rav Moshe says a silly reason for starting a shul is an Israeli flag. So there's an Israeli flag in shul. We think that's, I think where I'm coming from, I think that's a good thing. A shul should have an Israeli flag. But okay, but Rav Moshe thought a shul shouldn't have an Israeli flag. But nonetheless, it's not a reason to start a new shul. Okay, and that, but I don't know. But anyways, I'm just throwing out. I'll just add a couple. Okay, I was going to show you, but I really don't really have time. But another time, that what the Mishnah in Psachim says when you travel from one place to another. That's the keep 1 day yontiv, 2 days yontiv. It's also a big question. We're not going to get into now. I'm sure everybody knows how many days to keep in Israel. The Tzach have to be very concerned with creating a machloket, and what creates a machloket can change from generation to generation and community to community. But the Mishnah says, Al Yishana Adam if they have machloket. You should do X or Y. You should do the chumrah. You should keep your local minhagim, but none of it's going to create any tension in the shul. So today, Baruch Hashem, there's so many places everybody can find their own shuls. But with their own minhagim. But just let me end with one idea here about what a minhag is. I mentioned before that a minhag asaf of halachic says Rav Soloveitchik used to talk about minhagim all the time. He was like he was the person in Jewish history who talked more about minhagim was Rav Soloveitchik. Give a 3-hour shiur to explain a minhag we don't even keep necessarily. And Rav Soloveitchik, a minhag is not something we do. That's not a minhag. That's not right. Even if it's done, even if it's a nice thing that we do, a minhag Rav felt had to have sort of be based on a mitzvah of the Torah, like the minhag to wear a kippah is based on the mitzvah of Yirat Hashem. I want to have fear of God. So the way I express my reverence for God is I put on a kippah on my head. So the minhag sort of reflects certain Torah laws, and that's true with every minhag. Every minhag, it's not just something that's what we do, and a minhag has to be something that reflects a religious ideal, a religious mitzvah, but also things that are based on convenience are never minhagim. That's Rav Moshe's famous, tshuva in the summer. The husband and wife, one wants to make early Shabbos and one wants to make late Shabbos. That's okay, even though normally you would think the family should make Shabbos at the same time, which is true. That's only if they're making Shabbos for religious reasons. But when you make Shabbos for non-religious reasons, for convenience, for at 7:00, but we really wanted extra Shabbos, so it would make Shabbos this week at 3:00. I couldn't give the shiur. Right? What do you mean shul's at 4:20? Who cares? We daven an hour and a half earlier than shul. That's what we do in the summer. Well, obviously, we do it in the summer because it's very inconvenient to go to shul at 8:30 at night to start get home at 9:30 and start the meal. So we don't want to do that. So that's very nice. So we extend Shabbos. That's nice, but that's not a minhag. And therefore, if it's not a minhag, a husband and a wife don't have to keep the same tradition. For the husband, or the wife, whatever. For one of them, it's convenient to make Shabbos early. For the other one, it's convenient to make Shabbos late, and that's no problem. So that's what do you do today? Also, right? And that's a whole big issue. Like do husbands and wife. The normal way was the wife would follow the minhagim of the husband because that's up. The wife would move in with the husband's family, kind of like the local minhag gets absorbed by the communal minhag. Today, I don't know. I'm not opposed to it, but it's not 100% clear that that necessarily has to be the husband's way, the husband's minhagim. We have a different society. Women have a different status than they did, and the question is, how does that impact on what the minhag should be? And is it crucial that they have the same minhag? Comes up, listen, what in Kitniyot, this is it's a big issue. Your daughter married, your daughter's Ashkenazi, she marries a Sephardi, so she eats rice on Pesach. No, and then they invite you to go to this. What do you mean? Can't go to your Mechutin's house for the Seder because they serve rice and you don't eat rice. They shouldn't serve rice. Why shouldn't they serve rice? Can you eat rice? These are very interesting, important questions. Anyways, I do have to go to shul soon. I'm in like 20 minutes or so. It's mincha, but I greatly appreciate those who got up early and came today for a sort of our off the cuff shiur. Different next week, please God, we'll go back to the siddur. But I do believe, I guess my punchline was, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. There is something to keep the minhagim of the place. And Rav Moshe has a lot of truth. And if you're going to keep your own minhag, I could have davened with an arch sitter, and nobody would have known, and it would have been fine. Like I don't think it would have been any violation of anything. Maybe that's what I should have done. I don't know, because that's my minhag, But and I would have done it in a way that nobody would know. But I felt no, I'm gonna take the Italian. It's not so different. I'm gonna take the Italian. I couldn't read the Italian, but just follow on in the words in the Chumash are the same. It's the same Chumash, Baruch Hashem, but a little bit changed in it different. But that's, I guess, the minhagim are basically communal, and we have to find out how exactly they apply to. I don't know. I'm just throwing out different ideas, and there is no doubt that this is a field that has changed. The minhag about minhagim has changed because it's. We do have a different type of a society, and there is an understanding. We don't care that 6 people in the shul do different things. In our shuls, we don't care when people stand sit. Rav Shechter was saying that of Kavod Harav. He wasn't saying that it's the minhag. Oh, it's a bad minhag that some people sit, some stand. No, in our shuls, we don't care about that. He felt that of respect for the rabbi. If the rabbi's sitting, you shouldn't stand because you're looking from her. But today, still in, no tefillin, this, that, everybody does their own thing. And okay. Anyways. I want to wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom. Please, God, just let me. So that's. I'm sorry, Janine, if I upset you by saying that we follow the minhagim of the community, maybe more than the family. When you travel to Italy, you eat. Yes, you eat. And the restaurants at 3 kosher restaurants open on Shabbos. It's really nice. You can eat in Rome. Just eat in the restaurants. You pay in advance. It was very nice. We met a lot of people. It was really amazing how many people were traveling. It was a very nice Shabbos, and I see. Thank you. Somebody's writing me privately. They watched the Yoetzet program yesterday. Yes, it was very, very moving and inspirational. And thank you for the Mazel Tov, my daughter. And yes, Binghamton representatives. Yes, we're okay. Everybody, thank you, and hope to see you
next week.
Next week, regular time, please God, 9:15. This is just the 1 week. I mean, and that's it. So please God, we'll see you next week, 9:15, and we'll be back to Kabbalah Shofar, finish up to Kabbalah Shofar, Hashiva Shoftenu. We really started that bracha of the Shmon Esrei on the justice system. So please God, we'll continue, and a regular shiurim next week also. Okay, thank you. Be well, everybody.
Rabbi
Okay.
Shabbat
Cohen,
Shalom.
Yes.
Mazel Tov.
Yeah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Mazel Tov and your daughters.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very
Rabbi
much.
Cohen,
Yes.